Right, so the first thing that I do when I'm adding shadows is I decide where I think the light is coming from. And really there's no right or wrong answer, but in this page I am thinking that the light is coming from this side, so it's leaning this way. That's how I'm imagining it at least. So I'm first going to start with the overalls here. Now, since I'm imagining the light coming in this direction, I'm going to go ahead and add all of my shadows to the opposite side here. So I'm going to go ahead and start here, and I'm going to go underneath here like this. And then since this bunny is here, it will be blocking the light on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few more here. And I like to just follow the shape of whatever I'm shadowing here. So I'm just following the shape of the overalls. And now I'm going to go ahead and start down here. And again, the bunny is here. So the bunny's going to block out a lot of that light. So I'm going to go ahead and add my shadows here. Again, just going down this side, following the shape of her leg. And then I'm going to go all the way down here. And again, this would be blocked by the light, so I'm going to go ahead and add that there. Now, same thing for the strap. I'm going to go ahead and on the opposite side is where I'm going to add my shadows. And there's another bunny over here, so I'm also going to add a little bit of shadow. And same with this other leg, just going in on the opposite side, following the shape that's already there.
Para ayudarte,
So that is
mamá.
it for the overalls. I forgot to mention that when I am doing these shadows, I am first coloring it in with the base color, and then I'm letting that color completely dry, and then I'm going back in with the same color to do the shadows. When you do that, it just layers over it and makes it a little bit darker. Now, the bunnies I decided to leave white, so I'm picking up a very light gray to do the shadows for it. In this case, I'm using soft cool gray. So again, I'm just going to put on the opposite end of the bunny here, and just go ahead and add my shadows.
Oye, ma, ¿qué me pondré para la fiesta?
Again, just do it on the opposite side where I think the light is coming in.
Ya me voy.
I'm going to do a bunch of here, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently because it's underneath this opening. So because of that, I feel like the light is going to be blocked out a little bit more on him. So I'm going to go ahead and just make the line a little bit thicker, and I'm going to round it off to similar to the shape of everything. Make it look like he's shaded under that.
Y también me agarró la nalga.
So I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of this page.
Daría lo que fuera por mi familia. Daría mi propia vida por mi familia. Los amo y los llevo en mi corazón. Ya me tienen harta, ya no los soporto, ya no los tolero. Nadie me da mi lugar. Pero algún día me voy a largar de la casa. Ya no voy a...
Now, to go along with shadowing, you also need to add highlights, and my favorite way to do that are these grabby acrylic markers. Now, you want to put the highlights on the opposite side that you did the shadows on. In other words, wherever you decided the light was coming from, that's the side that you want to add it on, the side that's going to be closest to that light source. And let me tell you, I really do love adding shadows. I feel like they make such a difference in your page, but the highlights for me are really where I feel like the magic happens. It just makes everything come together. So this is what it looks like all completed. I really hope this tutorial was at least helpful for somebody. I know I'm not the best at explaining, but I really did try my best here. And let me know if you gave this a try. You guys always want to know what acrylic markers I use for details in my videos, and it's these Shuttle Art acrylic markers. They do come in this really nice acrylic case, and in case you didn't know, acrylic markers are supposed to be stored horizontally, so this case is perfect for that. The set that I use has 36 colors, but they have different sets with different colors. I have used these markers for details throughout my berry coloring series, like the flowers in this field here, and all these outlines for the aquarium animals. And most recently, I used them for the flowers on this food truck, and I also used them for this rose wallpaper. The markers have great color payoff, and they work really well with your existing alcohol markers, which I love. So if you're in need of some acrylic markers, you should definitely check these ones out. Guys, this is part 26 of me coloring this book in order, and we are so close to the finish line, I can't even believe it. I'm really excited about this page today, and listen, I know that this is not technically a fall page, but I'm gonna make it a fall page. I've got a bunch of colors picked out that really give me those autumn vibes, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. Starting off with the trees first, and I'm gonna be using these 4 colors, moving in order from left to right. I'm picking up corn yellow first, and I'm using this to outline the base of the tree. And while the ink is still wet, I'm just gonna continue picking up the other colors and blending them into each other, just doing a little bit at a time. The key to blending is really to make sure that you're doing it while the ink is still wet, and I'm also using circular motions here just to make sure I get a really seamless blend. And I use the last color just to fill in the rest of the tree, and I'm gonna repeat that same process for the other trees. Next, I'm moving on to the grass area, and I am just repeating that same process that I did for the trees. I'm using the yellow for any part of the grass that kind of sticks out on the top, and just moving my way downwards, blending all the colors together. And then when that's all done, I'm again taking burnt sienna to color in the rest of the grass. Now it's time to add some details. I'm starting with the shade Dark Marigold, and I'm just doing a dotting motion on the trees here, kind of adding a leaf texture. Then going in with burnt sienna to add a little bit more deepness, and lastly, I'm taking cedar brown to even add a darker tone to this. I like layering colors to add a little bit of depth. Still using cedar brown, I'm going to color in all of the tree trunks with this. Once that's done, I'm going to add the same dotting texture to the grass that I did for the trees. To add a little bit of green, I'm taking the shade Dark Olive to color in all of the stems and leaves of the flowers. Again, I know it's not technically fall, but I'm making it work. And for the flowers, I'm going to blend these 2 colors together. I'm starting out with persimmon, and then I'm going to use burnt sienna to color in the base of the flowers, just blending those 2 together. I felt like the grass area just needed a little bit more, so I'm using these 2 Shuttle Art acrylic markers, and I'm using a dotting motion to add flowers to the field. This is a really easy technique I use all the time to add flowers. I added the same grass colors to the portrait, and next I'm taking the shade Cedar Brown to color in the easel. And can anyone spot my mistake here? I felt like this really needed some blue tones, so I'm using porcelain blue to color in this blanket. And then I'm going to color in this flower the same way that I did all of the others. I'm using milk tea to color in the dog, but I'm not going to do anything special, I'm just going to color him in. And next I'm going to take the shade Dark Sand and use this to make a cute little brown cow. I really wanted to do a black and white cow, but I just didn't feel like it went with this vibe. I wanted to put a pattern on the blanket, so I'm using smoke blue and deep cerulean to add just a simple pattern. Time to color in the sky, and I'm going to be using these 3 colors going in order from left to right, just blending them in an upwards motion here. Looking back, I really wish I would have kept with like the yellow and orange tones for the sky, but I think this looks okay. I'm also just adding some color to the clouds. Super simple, nothing crazy. I'm also going to color in the water with those same 3 colors, plus I'm adding the shade Deep Cerulean in there. Just kind of swiping my marker from left to right and just kind of blending those colors together. And again, I don't know if I love the watercolor choices, but it's too late for that now. And last but not least, just taking my white grabby acrylic marker and going through and adding all my highlights to this page. And this is how the page turned out. Like I said, I know it's not technically an autumn page, but I definitely feel like I achieved that goal here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and follow along to see me finish this book. It's so hard to believe that this is part 30 of me coloring this book in order, and I can't even describe to you my level of excitement to color this page today. I have really been looking forward to coloring this one. Since this is the cover page of the book, I am going to take a teeny tiny bit of inspiration from that. And the stress of picking out colors for this page is so real because it took me like a half an hour. But these are all the colors that I landed on. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. I'm starting with the sky first, just because I'm going to kind of lay the scene. So I'm using these 3 shades, and I'm picking those colors up in order from left to right. And I always get so nervous when I am blending such a big space like this, because I'm trying to do it so quickly while the markers are still wet, which always causes me to go out of the lines a little bit, which I know that you guys love seeing me do that. Now picking up sugarcane, which I think I said in my last video that I don't really use much anymore, so it's funny that I'm using it twice in a row. Now using yellow green, I'm going to color in all the flower stems on the page, and I'm also using this color for the leaves on the floating flowers. And finally, I'm using it to add some texture to the bushes. I wanted the texture to be a little bit darker, so I'm using edamame just to deepen it up a little bit. I wanted to bring out the purple tones in the sky a little bit, so I'm bringing back out pale purple, and I'm using this to color all of the flowers that are on the page. Now time for the water, which is the part I'm most excited about. I always love coloring pages with water, they're my favorite. I'm coloring in the base of the water with pale sky blue, and then once I've let that completely dry, I'm going in with the color sky blue, which is the darker blue, and I'm going to color these like randomly placed blob shapes. I'm just going to do this throughout the whole water, and I'm trying my best to make these blobs kind of fit together in a way. And once that layer is completely dry, I'm picking up a white acrylic marker, and I'm going to draw some more blobs, but this time I'm not going to fill them in. I'm also making sure that every blob I draw is connected to another blob. I'm sorry that I just said blob like 50 times. After those blobs are drawn in, I'm going back in with that marker, and I'm coloring in all of the spaces in between each of the blobs, just to make sure everything's connected. This part is definitely pretty tedious, but it is so worth it in the end. And this technique is probably my favorite way to color water. Alright, now moving on to these cute little characters, I'm going to start off with the bear, and I'm using the shade Caramel. And I know it's technically spelled caramel, but does anyone else say caramel, or is it just me? Then I'm picking up Sandy Beige to color in the dog, which I've actually been using this color a lot recently. I'm taking these 2 colors to do the floating flowers, and I'm starting out with Deep Periwinkle, and using Bright Lavender to color in the other flower. And this is the finished page. I am absolutely obsessed with how this came out. I've been waiting to color this page forever, so I'm so glad that I didn't mess it up. But thank you guys so much for watching, and
¿Quieres
follow
un
along
chupe,
to see me color
amiga?
the last 2 pages.
Amiga, ya corre, ya vamos a llegar tarde a la...
Pues ya no te peines.
¿Qué te pasa? Tengo que estar súper bien peinadita, amiga. Sí, yo voy a comer, mamá.
Ay, Dios
Hey
mío.
guys, this is
Mija,
part 31 of
peínate.
me coloring this book in order. This is the page today, and it is so cute. I want to keep this page very fun, very bright, and I found this color palette on Pinterest.
Ay,
that I really
amiguita, ya
wanted to use.
vámonos,
I feel like
tenemos
it's
que ir a
perfect
la...
for the vibe I want to go for, so these are all the colors that I picked. So I'm going to put the
Oye,
card shape behind my page.
amiga, ¿qué estás
I'm beginning
haciendo?
with the wall first, and I'm using the shade BG310 Seafoam Green as the base color for the wall. I don't use this color much, but I really love it. After that color
Mira cómo
dries,
se
and
ves
using the same
anoche.
marker, I'm going to add a simple striped pattern. Moving on, I'm picking up G49, which is also a color that I don't really use, and I'm going to color in all the leaves on the page, and then on top of the carrot clock, and then also this frog. Now I'm using R28, and I'm going to color in the dog.
Oye, mijita, no me has
I'm also
dado
gonna
de
use
la
that
renta,
color
ya
in a few
toca.
other places, just so I make sure that it ties in pretty well. And I wanted to add a leopard print pattern, so I'm going in with these 2 colors, starting with R412, and I'm going to be drawing some random shapes on the blanket. And this is actually my first time doing leopard print. Then I'm taking BGY38, and I'm just adding the black lines, just kind of circling those around the shapes that I made. And for my first
No vas a
one,
aguantar los tacones,
güey. Now it's time to add some purple. I'm going in with B14 as the
¿dónde
base
estás,
color for the bunny
amiguita?
blanket, and then going in with B010 just to add my usual flower pattern. I'm using Y27 for the yellow, and I'm going to color in the lamp, as well as a couple of the pillows on the page.
Aquí está la cuenta, joven.
Moving on, I'm taking YR17, and I'm going to color in the carrot clock, as well as the flower pillow, and I'm also going to color in a couple of the other pillows on the page too. To add in a deeper orange, I'm going in with YR111. I made sure that I picked out both a light and a dark shade of every color on the palette, because I felt like that would help just add some balance. And this is the color BG310, the same color that I used for the wall. And then I picked up BG311 just to color this pillow.
O sea, 50 y
Alright,
50.
so I wanted to keep the bunny white, so I'm using cloud gray just as my shadow for him. And then for the dog, I'm going in with Y415, and I'm using that same color for the little bear. And then I just picked up the shade gray to color in this TV. And lastly, I'm just taking my white graphic acrylic marker, and I'm adding all of my highlights in.
Shopping, las uñas, a comer sushito, cosas de
And this is the finished page. I really love how this turned out. I love all the bright colors that I used, and that color palette was perfect for this page. And you guys, there's only 1 page left to color after this one, and then this book will be completed. So I'll see you next time for the final page.
Oye, mamá, dime,
Alright
mira,
guys,
quiero
this
un
is the
hermanito.
final part of coloring this entire book in order. And I decided that since this final page is
¿En serio, mami? Claro que no, así no funciona.
and also I
Entonces,
forced
mamá,
over with the last page. So like I said,
Ey, no, amor, ¿qué estás
today,
haciendo?
I went ahead
No,
and
está muy
outlined
chiquita para
each
saber
of
ese
the
tipo de
sky.
cosas.
And
Quiero saber,
I'm
fíjate,
coloring,
cosas
and I'm just simply coloring all that in. Once
Ay,
that's
sí,
all
está
done,
bien.
I'm going
Mira,
to
mijita,
store in the
cuando
pig,
un hombre
using
te da un
peach
beso
green
en la
to color
boca,
in, and
mija,
then using
quedas
pastel beach for
embarazada.
inner part
Pero
of
déjame
the
ver
pig.
si
Then
estoy
there's cute little
entendiendo.
overalls
Te
that I'm
estás
using
diciendo
cerulean
que si
blue,
me
and I
besas,
wanted to keep it bright, so I'm using light gold to color in a shirt. And then I'm
no, 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 no.
using
O sea,
color
el amor de
for
tu
flower
vida
blue,
tiene
and
que
then
ser
taking the color old
especial.
rose
Para
and
tú acabas de decir eso.
and
Pues
finally
sí, pero
just
no lo
taking
puedes
my
hacer
white
con
graphic
cualquier
marker,
hombre que te
and adding all my
guste.
highlights in.
Entonces mi
Like I
papi
said,
no te
very
gusta.
simple
Y
vibes
sí
today.
me
I
gusta
only
tu
have gone a
papá.
lot on
Ahí
11
está.
pages of
Ay,
this book,
bueno,
so I
sí, ya.
just wanted to
Ok,
make this
mami,
page
yo
very
entendí
interesting.
muchas
I also
gracias.
decided to
Ay,
outline
gordo, yo no
these
sé
blue
qué voy a hacer
shadow
con esta
lines,
niña.
and
Mami,
here's the
mami,
finished
mami,
page. Guys, I
adivina
can't
qué.
believe it, but
¿Qué
this is the
pasó?
first coloring book
Ay,
I ever completely
¿cómo
finished.
que no se embarazada, ¿qué pasó?
Handful
Pues es
see
que en
what
el
color
recreo
we'll
me
order
di un
next.
beso con
I
Pablito.
definitely have
Ay,
a
mijita,
fair
me
photo of
asustaste.
him
Yo
with
pensé
saffron
que otra
coloring. There were
cosa,
ones I've never
no.
even touched, but
Pero
I really like to
pensándolo
manage
bien,
that.
quiero
So for the next
gemelos.
5
Voy a
days,
la
I'm
casa de
going to be
Pablito para
coloring
que
in
me dé
this
otro
color.
beso,
I feel
mano.
like this is a really good way to treat
Niña, ven
yourself.
para
Plus,
acá,
it's a lot
gordo.